Hey, how's it going there? Troy with Big BB. I'm going to try to do a quickish video, but you know me, I like to ramble sometimes. As a gunsmith, there's a lot of people that ask me to either lighten up their trigger or drop another trigger in their gun, and then they're surprised when I do that and it doesn't help them shoot any better. And some of these I have found out that the reason it doesn't help them shoot any better is because they're not exercising the fundamentals properly. All right. So for trigger specifically, I just wanted to kind of talk about that trigger specifically. There's three things on your firearm that you've got to master if you want to be efficient and effective with it before you start messing with trigger weights and new triggers and all that stuff. All right. Those three things are travel, break point, and reset point. Once you master those three things, and then you start being a little more proficient with it, then you can go ahead and move on to, trigger pull weights and new triggers or whatnot. And the reason I say that is a lot of people that come to me for this stuff, when I replace their trigger, we go to my range here, and I ask them to fire it, and I say, hey, does that feel any better? You want to know what the most common response is to me? I couldn't tell you. I ain't fired this gun in about 4 years. 3 years. 5 years. X number of years. But they haven't fired this gun in I don't know how many years. But this is the gun they also carry with them daily. And so that kind of prompted me to make this video for stuff that you can train to and help yourself be a more proficient person. Because as a concealed carrier myself, if I get into a scrap and another concealed carrier comes to my aid, I want them to know what they're doing. I don't want to be the guy getting shot because the other guy hasn't fired in 4, 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, if I'm coming to somebody's aid, just know I'm coming and I train and I work with my firearms and I know my firearms inside and out. And it's scary to me that people don't, honestly. All right, but what I got here is I got a Smith & Wesson 40 Shield. All right, downranges that way, the way it's pointed. So we're observing the safety rules on my range already. I already got the slide locked to the rear. You can see right there through the magazine well. No magazine inserted. And I'm going to take a quick peek in there. And there's nothing in the chamber. All right. So I say that because I wanted to bring those three things to light. What do I mean by those? Travel. That is the distance your trigger travels until the point it stops. All right. So right here is the point that it stops. That's called the break point. You go beyond the break point, and that's what you get, right? You just release the firing pin, you fired. It does its thing. Your reset point, if you slowly move forward, you'll be able to hear it. Right there, you hear that little click? It reset. So my finger right now, with pressure on it, I am back at the break point. All I have to do is that. And we're back into the firing mode, all right? I don't know how often it is I see people come all the way up and off the trigger and they shoot. All the way up and off the trigger and they shoot. And they're just slapping the trigger like this when they fire. That is not knowing your firearm at all. That's just slapping your trigger. And if you're slapping your trigger, one, that's not properly exercising any sort of trigger control whatsoever. And two, like, I don't know where you could be all over the place. You're just basically shooting to shoot, right? You're not shooting to shoot accurately. And the reason I bring this up is this is something that you can absolutely do with either a laser device. You could do this as I did it, like dry firing, just to know where your break and reset and trigger travel is. you could do this anywhere. Practice these fundamentals, and you will see an improvement in your shooting, I promise. If you're not practicing these fundamentals already, you will see a vast improvement once you start practicing the fundamentals. If you are practicing the fundamentals and you're already a great shot and you already know that, you already got your stance down, you know what stance you're going to do, you hold your firearm the way you're going to hold it, you already practiced trigger control, sight alignment, sight picture, proper breathing, you're probably already a great shot. And if that's you, you're probably in a better position to know what you want. If you wanted to modify something, a sight, a trigger, recoil spring, whatever it is, right? You're probably in a better position to do something like that than someone who hasn't fired their firearm in 4 or 5 years, and someone that hasn't been practicing and probably couldn't honestly tell me how much trigger travel or trigger pull weight that they actually have currently. All they know is, hey, it sounds cool, and I got some money in my pocket, and I'm going to have this dude drop it in, right? There's purposes for that stuff. And I'm telling you, it's not going to make you a better shooter. It's not. Practicing the fundamentals will, all right? So that is my tip for today. Trigger control, trigger travel, break point, reset point. You can practice this with an empty gun or with a laser, and it's all on you, all right? If you got any questions, I'm always here. Hit me up. Stay safe. Shoot straight.